Hello and good evening. You're welcome. You're welcome. So glad to have you here. Thank you for joining me on this live webinar. So, in a few minutes, we're going to get starting. Let me just clarify some things over here. If you are joining us on Instagram, can you just signify if you are joining us from Instagram? Can you hear me if you are joining us on Instagram? Can you hear me? I'm trying to fix the audio. There's a all right. Let's get started right away. So, this evening we are going to be talking about land banking. Land banking. First of all, this is another edition of Real Estate Investment in 2024 with Ayodeji Eson. And the purpose of this is just to enlighten as many people as possible about the possibilities in real estate investments in Nigeria. We want to talk about the wealth available. We want to talk about the pros, the cons, so that anybody that intends to invest in real estate in 2024 knows the risks, knows how to go about it, does not get into trouble at all. And of course, because I understand that there are many people who are scared of investing in real estate. So this is also intended to enlighten people like this so that you know how to to move around, how to do things the right way. So last week we had a wonderful session with the CEO of Hybrid Land Tech, excuse me, with the CEO of Hybrid Land Tech, Yemi. So Yemi gave us some beautiful breakdown on due diligence, on things to do and things not to do when investing in real estate. We focused on Lagos State last week, but today I talk about land banking and how to create wealth through land banking. And I hope someone will gain valuable lessons from this life. All right. So, what is land banking? Let's start from there. Land banking is simply the act of buying land in an undeveloped area or an undeveloped or underdeveloped location. Buying the land keeping it and selling it later. That's as simple as it is. You are buying land now, keeping it with just for the purpose of selling later at a higher value. Now, someone would say, what's land banking that you realtors, developers are talking about now? Well, land banking is as old as any of us. Many of our parents, our grandparents, great grandparents have been doing land banking. They always bought land, somewhere, kept it, probably farm on the land, or some of them just leave the land because they know where it is, and in years' time, they sell that land. And in many cases, they pass that land over to their offsprings. There are many people today who are still enjoying the benefits of a particular land that their great or their grandfather bought somewhere. So land banking, in essence, is buying land and banking it. As simple as that. So before I go further, if you have any questions, you can drop it in the comment section. I would see your comments. I would see your comments, and of course, I would answer your questions. So now, let's move to the next thing. So, what are the benefits of land banking? Like I said earlier, many of our ancestors or many of our parents and grandparents, they have been doing land banking. So, what are the benefits? The benefit is simply the fact that land banking is one way that you can generate wealth, that you can create wealth without doing nothing, exerting much effort. You are doing almost little to nothing, and the land is generating wealth for you. You buy land, you leave it there. You're not doing any extra work. All that you have done is that you bought the land is just there, and breathing, so to say, and it's giving you value every month, every year. So if you are, I know lands that appreciate in value as much as 100% in 6 months, in 1 year, in 2 years. So this is what land banking essentially is. Land banking gives you leverage to invest doing nothing much. That's what land banking gives you. So if you are looking at land banking in Nigeria, what are the prospects? What are the possibilities of land banking in Nigeria? Is it safe? Is it risky? Because I'm asking that, or I'm saying this because I saw a comment somewhere that someone says he can never do land banking. In fact, I have a friend of mine who said he can't do land banking, that it is too risky because someone might snatch the land, because the land might get missing, they might not know the location, or they might lose the land to omonile or land grabbers. These things happen, but it usually happens when you, the land buyer, have not done the proper thing. You have not done the right thing about the land that you are buying. That's when this risk, occur. Excuse me. So now, when you buy land for the purpose of banking it, there are things that you are supposed to do. There are things that you are supposed to do. These are the things that would secure your land. These are the things that will secure your investments. Because you are investing money, you are investing your hard-earned money. So you are supposed to go through some steps to ensure that your investment is safe. Excuse me. So now, one of the major things that you have to do before you buy the land is to do due diligence. Before you even make the purchase at all, the first step is doing due diligence. If you don't do due diligence, this is the first mistake that many people make. And once you get it wrong at the due diligence level, the chance of getting into trouble is very high. You don't just buy land or because someone tells you that there's land available somewhere and you just pay for the land. You did not do any inspection. You did not ask the necessary questions. You might ask questions, but you don't even know the right questions to ask. Or when they give you answers, you don't know or you have not verified if these answers are true. So due diligence allows you to know what you are buying. The steps involved and starts from you getting a surveyor. When you want to buy land, do you have a surveyor on your side that will help you to do survey or a chart, not a surveyor, that will chart that property, chart that land to verify everything about the land? Because some people will sell land that is under government acquisition. Some people sell land that is along the right of way of probably a canal or drainage to you. If a surveyor has not done a chart for you or gone to the Ministry of Lands or Lands Bureau in your state, you will not know whether the land you are buying is actually safe to buy. So, when you are buying land, make sure you have a surveyor on your side, make sure you have a professional realtor on your side who would advise you properly. And of course, make sure you have a lawyer too, because you need legal advice before you make a land purchase. Many of us keep these steps that we just go ahead and buy land. Yes, you might do this without getting into trouble, but why not go through the right way? Why not go through the right process and ensure you don't get into trouble instead of taking the risk involved? So let's move on. Excuse me, my I have a cough. Though last week I had a cough too, but this week is better. I can talk clearly now, like last week, but my throat is still not clear. That's why I'm coughing. So just bear with me if I'm coughing and interrupting with my cough. Just bear with me. Thank you. So we have talked about what land banking is. We have talked about some of the things that you need to do before you buy the land. And now we want to talk about um, understanding the Nigerian laws regarding buying land. Many people are ignorant of the law in land transactions. That's why they buy land and they don't do documentation on that land. Just buy the land and you put it there. Buying land and putting it there is very risky. Have you done your documentation? Have you gotten a deed of assignment? Or is only receipts that you have? Because the receipt is not sufficient to protect you in that land transaction. You also have to do a deed of assignment, which is a legal transfer from the previous owner to you, transferring the title ownership of that land from the previous owner to you. Having a receipt alone does not transfer the title to you, because the seller or the people that sells the land to you can come up tomorrow and say they've not had that land to you. And when they go to court, they would have an edge over you. So make sure you get a deed of assignment prepared by a lawyer. Don't go to a roadside computer center to type a deed of assignment. It's not legal. If it's not backed by law, it's not backed by law. It can't protect you. So make sure you get all your documentations right. Part of your documentation also include the survey. When you buy land for land banking purpose, make sure you do your survey on that land. It is survey that will show you the boundaries of the land. It will show you, I've told you some of the information that survey will show you. The survey will also show you the type of land it is, if it's under government acquisition. Excuse me. So the survey will show you whether the land is under government acquisition, if it's under any kind of encumbrance. Also, um, the survey will also allow you to locate your property at any time. So, once you do the survey, there are beacons that will be on the survey document that will also be on the land. So even if probably you have not done your fencing, you have not fenced your property, you can use that survey to trace your land at any time. So that's the importance of making sure you do your survey, making sure you do all your documentation right. So we are moving on and moving on. If you're getting value from this, you can like this video. You can also share, to your friends so that they can also get value from this session. So don't enjoy this alone. Share to your friends, and of course, I'm expecting your questions in the comments section. You can always drop your questions. Now, one of the reasons why I am particularly, because anywhere I go, especially amongst my friends, amongst colleagues, I always tell them to do land banking. And my interest was aroused when there was a time I went to visit my parents, and while I was in their house, someone came, to make inquiry about an empty plot of land just beside us, because there's an empty plot of land beside my parents' house. So, during the conversation, luckily my parents are in contact with the owner of the land, and that person wants to buy the land. So he asked my parents, how much is that land selling for? And they told him 10 million naira. Was it even 10 million or 15 million naira? I can't remember, but I know it wasn't less than 10 million naira. So after that person left, because we didn't finish on that day. After he left, I just asked my parents that, how much did you buy this land? I mean, the land that you're about to sell, that someone beside you is about to sell at 10 million naira. How much did you buy this land? So she just told me that's my mom. She told me that she bought the land at I think less than 30,000 naira in the mid 90s or early 90s. They bought that land around 30,000 naira. So imagine buying a plot of land at 30,000 naira and selling the land at 10 million naira. That's how much value land gets. So when I heard that, I was like, wow. So this is, one can just buy land and do nothing on the land, because actually the only thing on the land is that there is a fenced it. So apart from that fencing, there is nothing on the land, and the land has been gaining tremendous value. Also, I also remember there was a time a friend of mine, we went together to check a plot of land. At that time, he wanted to buy land somewhere, and he asked me to go with him. I think that was about 3 or 4 years ago. And we went to that part of town, somewhere in Akure. And we went to that part of town. The land then was about 400,000 naira per plot. Though my friend couldn't buy the land at that time. But in that area today, if you want to buy any plot of land in that area, that same area that we went to, that time when we went there, it was bushy, it was all bush. I mean, there were no houses around. But today there are several houses around, and the least amount you can get land in that area is about 5 million naira. So these are the benefits of you investing in land. Now, land banking is also a long-term game. If you want to do land banking, just have it at the back of your mind that you have to be patient. It's not something you rush in and rush out. Yes, sometimes you can buy the land and sell it in less than a year. But I usually advise my clients that instead of selling immediately. Just leave that land for at least 5 years. In 5 years, I'm sure the land would have, done more than 300%. But I'm just trying to, not exaggerate any figure now. But in 5 years, the land would have done more than 300%. This is tremendous value without doing anything. Then again, if you are buying land for the purpose of land banking, you should. I also advise my clients that don't just buy one plot, buy two, in fact, buy like three, four, five, or six plots or an acre. And the reason for that is that you get more value when you have, for instance, if the land is selling at 1 million naira per plot and you get six plots at 6 million naira, when you are ready to sell the land, maybe in 5 years' time, one that um, land that you bought at 1 million naira could have risen in value to as much as 7 million naira, 8 or even 10 million naira. So now multiply that by six. You can see the value that your land would have given you. So, and the reason I also say this is that sometimes when you buy land like this, when you buy more than two or three plots, you can sell one plot to even build your house. Maybe you want to build a house around that area and you are not ready to build yet. You can buy more than one plot, buy two, three, or four plots. So when you are ready to build your house, you can sell one or two of those plots. When you sell it, you can use that to build your house in little or no time. So instead of doing your building project for a period of 10 years, 20 years, some people build their houses for as long as they are in service. You can finish your house in less than 2 years, even in less than 1 year, because you have the money in bulk. That's the beauty of land banking. There is so much beauty to land banking, and you should tap into it. Also, when you buy land, to secure your land, there are some things that you need to do. I mentioned earlier, I talked about documentation earlier. I talked about doing your proper documentation. So one of the reasons why some people don't do their documentation is that you buy land, you only have the budget for the land when you are buying the land. You don't just have the budget for the land when you are buying land. You should also have a budget for documentation. So, for instance, if you have 1 million naira, the land you should buy is not a 1 million naira land. You should buy land of maybe 700,000 naira, and then you can use 300,000 to do documentation. So you don't use all your budget to buy land because you need some money for documentation. This is where some people usually have issues with real estate companies and they say, I know about these charges before, these are hidden charges and the likes. They are not hidden charges, they are documentation fee. This documentation fee is what will actually protect you, is what will actually give you the legal backing that you are the owner of this land. So you don't just buy land and you don't do your documentation. So if you have 10 million naira, you are not buying land of 10 million naira. You are buying land of maybe 9 million naira or 9.1 million naira. Then you use the rest for documentation because you have to do your survey, you have to do your deed of assignment, you have to do some other things that secures that land. Apart from that, another thing I advise when you are doing land banking is that you should fence that property. When you buy the land, don't just leave it there fallow. Do some acts of possession, some acts of physical possession. And one act of possession is by fencing that property. When you fence the land, you might not do, the tall fence. You can just fence it with about two or three coaches. Doing that has already signified that someone has bought this land, someone is the owner of this land, and that would, dissuade or discourage any encroacher from encroaching on your property. It will discourage any land grabber from just, encroaching on your property, because there is a sign that someone that owns this land has taken possession. Then when you buy land, you don't just leave it and, go far away. When you buy land as well, you have to, do some constant check on the land. You can visit that land probably at least 3 times in a year, so that you know what's going on around. If you are not, maybe you are in the diaspora, you are not available, you can always get someone to visit the land for you. And this just reminds me of something that I also advise my clients. I always tell them to have a lawyer on their side. Many people don't want to pay lawyers fee and the likes, but these are the things that saves you from trouble. For instance, if you have several properties around, if you have several lands around and you are not in the country, you can get the service of a lawyer that would be the one to check these properties for you, so that, or you can also have the lawyers can, get the right people to check the property for you, to inspect the property for you always. So you don't just buy land and forsake it and just leave it alone. You have to always monitor your land. That's just what it is. So at least 3 times in a year, go there, go and do some check on the land to see what's going on. I hope you're getting value so far. Again, when you spend money on land, when you spend money on land, maybe on when you are doing land banking, any amount you spend on that land today, you will get more than times 10 of it when you're ready to sell in 5 years. So you don't say that the documentation fee is too much. I can't pay all this. I can't do the fencing. Anything you spend on the land today, by the time you are ready to sell the land in years' time, you get that value in multiple folds. So that's why you have to make sure you do everything right now. You do everything right at the moment, so that in future you are sure that your land is there and you can sell without any issue at all. So now let's talk about where is the best place to buy land for the purpose of land banking. Many people sometimes they want to buy land and they you are buying land for investment purpose and you are going to an eyebrow area. This is a very huge mistake, because when you go to an eyebrow area, most times the land there is almost getting to its plateau, so to say. So the growth in value of that land is not as significant as when you buy land in an emerging location. So the best place to buy land is an emerging location, an area that is probably bush, as people call it, not not an area that is fully developed, an area that is, underdeveloped or undeveloped. When you buy land in places like this, it faster. It's almost like a geometric progression, because the land can go from um, it can go from 500,000 naira to 5 million naira in 3 years. It's very possible. In fact, I know a particular estate in town right now that when they started selling property in that estate, there is someone that bought land there at 300,000 naira. That's just about 4 years ago. The estate is in Akure. That person bought the land a plot of land there at 300,000 naira. Now today, if you want to buy land in that estate, you would not you would not have nothing less than 5 million naira. In fact, it's already 7 million naira, but you can still find some people that will sell to you at 5 million naira. But most recent estates are not selling their land less than 7 million naira. So now look at it, 300,000 naira to 7 million naira in less than 4 years, or let's say in less than 5 years. That's the beauty of land banking. So that's why you should buy land in an undeveloped or underdeveloped area, or in an emerging location. If you are looking for an emerging location to buy land, you can send me a message via my DM. You can send me a message. You can reach out to me after this live conversation, and I will guide you appropriately. So, are there any questions at all? I'm not sure I've had any question. So, if you have any question, you can ask before we proceed. So, in about a few minutes from now, we'll be ending this session, and I hope you've gotten value from this. Like I said, you can always there will be a replay of this on my YouTube channel. Also, you can watch the replay of this. You can also watch the replay of the session we had with Yemi Olodun, that's the CEO of Hybrid Land Tech last week. We had a very wonderful conversation around investing in Lagos State. We talked about some of the demolitions happening and why it's happening and what you can do to avoid it. So now today we have talked about land banking, and I am really looking forward to having your questions. If you have questions about land banking, shoot me a DM, send me a message, call me on WhatsApp, and I'll be glad to answer your questions. So I think this will be the end of today's live webinar. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel on YouTube. I would be giving you more amazing content like this that will guide you on how to properly invest in real estate in Nigeria in 2024, that's in this year. So thank you for watching. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for sharing this, because I know you will share it. Thank you so much. And bye. See you on the next one. Thank you. Bye.